It is heartbreaking to find out why these amazing little kittens are still up for adoption. So now that you know, I hope you won't be able to stop yourself from offering them a loving home and the best parents ever. We share your frustration that people place so much importance on appearance. Have you ever considered the idea that it's because they're heartless? Have you ever seen a cat turn their back on a person who has disabilities? Cats are always near them to make them feel safe. Unfortunately, we as humans don't always act the same. Every cat has something to give. It is always sad to me when people only value cats as kittens and then only value them for cuteness. That is something they all have and does not acknowledge the specialness of each cat's personality. Cats actually grow in power along with their age, whom some pets never have one to call their own. Valentino had a really rough past. No one knows his story, but it was evident that his life had been very difficult. In 2017, Valentino was the unfortunate cat no human would touch, and for many reasons, this kid's fur was hardened and riddled with grime. His eyes were shot from being too caked and swollen for him to see anything. He always sat in his cage, crying. On top of that, the poor thing suffered from sarcoptic mange, a condition that is highly contagious to both cats and humans. All he could do at his Los Angeles animal shelter, where he was being kept, was whimper. His world was in darkness as his eyes were stuck shut due to infections. He was emaciated and so sick that no one would touch him until he met a kind woman who changed his life forever. But then avid rescuer Elaine Seaman stopped in her tracks when she heard his cries for help. She was incredibly shocked at his appearance. She had seen about 4 dogs who needed help and then saw him. Many thought that this sickly kitty was a death's door, but that hug somehow brought life back into that tiny, frail body. Valentino immediately reached out with his little paw, with all the strength he had, and made the tiniest meow. It was like he was screaming without verbalizing it. "Please help me." Elaine put him in her arms, and it was that hug that brought life back into that frail body. He nuzzled on her shoulder and didn't want to let. She put him in her arms, and it was that hug that brought life back into that frail body. Even though sarcoptic veins can be transmitted to human beings, Elaine picked up Valentino, nevertheless, just to comfort him. He nuzzled on her shoulder and didn't want to let go. Her active kindness made Valentino's story go viral. She knew in that moment that she had to get him out of there. Elaine runs the ATCHOO Foundation, a nonprofit that provides dogs with medical care. Normally, they don't help cats, but there's no way she could walk past him. She got in touch with Toby Wisniewski, founder of Leave No Paws Behind, who heard Valentino's little cries for help over the phone, and his decision was made. They couldn't stand back and watch him die. Tommy agreed to take Valentino in and tried to find him a home once he was recovered. Tommy headed off to the shelter to pick up sweet Valentino, and that day they saved his life and he found love. They named him Valentino, for he has a big heart and is so incredibly loving. Valentino couldn't see the staff and veterinarians that helped him, but he knew he was in good hands. On the first day of the hospital, he got so much needed relief from pain and even started to purr and snuggle. The road to recovery was a long one, but Valentino continued to make small improvements every day. Everyone was so inspired by his fight to live. All he wants is a little bit of love and affection. Valentino proved to be a little fighter. He got treatment for his illness and soon opened his eyes again. As Valentino healed, his personality shone. He became a little chatterbox and showed so much gratitude. Whenever he received treatment, he never wasted food and worked hard to get bigger and stronger. As his skin cleared up, his fur began to grow back. Now, Valentino is the most loving, grateful, and sweetest little fella ever, and he is so grateful for his gift of life and love and excellent medical care. Discovered he was surrounded by people who were determined to give him the happy ending he deserved, and soon enough, that happy ending came. Los Angeles resident Tanya Minovar had seen a video of Valentino on the Facebook page for Leave No Paws Behind, and she was instantly hooked. She was never a cat person. She'd always preferred dogs. However, for some reason, unbeknownst to her, felt compelled to foster Valentino. Several years prior, Tanya had found a senior cat in the middle of the street who was in such bad shape. Veterinarians said she had mere weeks left to live. This cat, who came to be called Kitty, ended up living for 5 years under Tanya's care. Obviously, this dog person seemed to have a knack for taking care of needy cats. Unfortunately, Kitty had passed away a year before Tanya had seen the video clip of Valentino crying, and she felt a similar urgency to help. When he moved into his foster home, he found love and comfort. Sweet Valentino never stopped cuddling with his fostered mom Tanya day and night. The tabby boy has so much love to give. He is so thankful to be getting the love he so desperately craved. A few months later, and Valentino finally found his forever loving home. Valentino never left his foster family. Tanya formally adopted him. They couldn't part with him, and now he's officially home, and the rest, as they say, is history. Valentino, who is estimated to be about 3 years old, is not afraid of anything. When he's met dogs belonging to Tanya's friends, he just walks right up to them. He loves his perch on the windowsill and also loves to roll around on the stoop of his forever home as Tanya's supervisors. As he's an indoor cat, he's spoiled rotten, a little chubby, and quite the foodie. He wakes Tanya up every morning at 6 for food. Then they snuggle for about half an hour and then she feeds him. He loves his new life with a little love and a lot of help. Valentino went from a cat crying in his cage to the king of his forever home with a long happy life ahead of him. From certain death to the promise of so many tomorrows, Valentino's journey on the road to recovery and his gift of life and love has been nothing short of miraculous. What an incredible journey it has been. Zeke. You'll certainly have tears in your eyes just like I did when I found out why no one wanted to adopt this adorable kitten. It seems hard to believe that people judge this precious kitten by its appearance and not by its heart. It makes you wonder if animals judge us before they're adopted. We're so intelligent that sadly some humans have left their humanity behind. This tiny kitty called Zeke was born with a medical condition called hydrocephalus, which is a condition that causes water to form on the brain, which in turn puts pressure on the brain. Zeke's legs were also twisted, but that doesn't prevent him from living a happy life. He rather adorably walks using the use of his elbows or hops along like a tiny kangaroo. There is no cure for hydrocephalus, but depending on the severity, it can be managed either by drugs or a shunt procedure that drains liquid and moves it to the abdomen, where the body absorbs it. The procedure and subsequent care run in the thousands of dollars. Despite having his fair share of medical issues, Zeke takes them all in his stride. He is just like a normal cat and has lots of abilities too. Zeke has a heart as full and as big as any other kitty. He really loves exploring his surroundings and trying to climb on top of things. He is a smart kitty who knows his name and runs as fast as he can whenever he hears someone calling it. Zeke never stopped dreaming of finding his forever loving home. He was in a Dow's rescue center, where he would spend days patiently waiting as fade out. Staff at the center were hoping that each day would be the day that a kind person would come and give the adorable kitty the loving care and attention it so desperately craved. However, like many people would, they worried that no one would want to adopt a kitten with a disability. One day, everything changed for this little kitten. Nancy Lynch was all the way on the other side of the country. When she heard the story about Zeke on the news, she immediately went to the shelter to see the kitten. Nancy fell in love instantly with Zeke and decided to adopt the little fluff ball. She gave this kitten a second chance at life. When Zeke's photos were posted on Facebook, the shelter was quickly inundated with people who knew of another cat named Superhero who also suffers from hydrocephalus. The moment Lisa of Superhero's Animal Hydrocephalus Society found out about Zeke, she contacted Nancy, who both then gave Zeke the assistance he would need to be healthy. Lisa and Nancy were both proactive in Zeke's rescue. They did their best because they both had Zeke's best interest at heart. He weighed in at 14 ounces when he made the flight from Texas to New York City. Zeke now has a new brother from another mother called Superhero, who also suffers from hydrocephalus. Superhero's story is just as miraculous as his brother's. Since the day he was born, he had always been in danger of being euthanized. The only reason he was spared was because Lisa took him in and fostered him. Now, Superhero is Zeke's older brother, and he takes his job very seriously by protecting him from harm in every possible way. He is one little fighter for life. He will never give up. What a brave kitten. Lisa Jones is trying to change the cost of the hydrocephalus procedure by saving affected cats and raising money to provide them with the care they need. She also hopes to encourage research institutions to take notice and find ways to bring the cost down. Would you ever rescue a cat that looks different? Tell us in the comments below. We love hearing what you have to say. Thanks for watching. See you next time.